14 million people live in the London Metropolitan Area, and reportedly some 300 languages are spoken here, making it perhaps the world's most international city. Mission in London and much more coming up next. Hello and welcome to Mission 360. I'm Gary Krause, coming to you today from London, England. This city, this historic city, is full of remarkable landscapes and landmarks, such as Buckingham Palace. On today's program, we'll take you 360 degrees around the world. And first up, let's travel to South Sudan, where we meet a couple who are educating young minds for eternity.
Ivira Adventist Vocational Academy is a struggling Seventh-day Adventist school located in southern Sudan.
It was in 1996 they opened its doors, and they have been holding this school each year since then, even though the first 8 or 9 years were during war.
Sudanese are flowing to Uganda, to Kenya to look for education opportunities in large numbers. That's why I say this so. If there is somebody outside there who wants to come in here, bringing education opportunities, I think he is answering the true need of the Sudanese people.
Lowell and Naria Jenks are heading to southern Sudan to start a vocational program for the school.
I think that they realize that, we're like fish out of water coming all the way over here, and they're apparently doing what they can to make us fit in, feel comfortable, and to make it home for us.
This is Brother Lowell Jenks. Lowell will be heading up a new vocational section of EAVA, and his wife Neria, who will be librarian and giving some assistance in the office as well.
You have made us feel welcome. We're calling this home. Thank you.
Green trees and flowers, pretty things.
We were originally brought in here to initiate a vocational program. The name of this school is Ivira Adventist Vocational Academy, and other than teaching agriculture to the students, nothing was being done. And I don't know how many years it had been since a more formal type of a vocational program was going on. But they wanted to come in and make the part of the vocational in the school's name more of a reality.
With my English, I've got to say things 3 or 4 or 5 times sometimes before they really grasp what I'm saying. So we put a whole outline on the board, we explain everything 2 or 3 times, and then I try to have some kind of a training DVD or video that they can also look at because they pick up additional things that I'm trying to give them.
To me, living in South Sudan is like going many years back in Belize. Because when I was growing up, we did everything manually, Electricity, we didn't have electricity. So we go to bed when the sun goes down and we rise when the sun comes up, and basically that's what we do here. Dishes, breakfast and lunch together, so we don't use much water.
We live in a nice house compared to what the average Sudanese lives in. It was built by somebody from Adra, and it's a brick masonry house, and we do have power of sorts. I think there's one outlet in each room. We get power about 3 hours a night, 7:30 to 10:30. For somebody like me that goes to bed at 8:30, I don't always get to advantage myself of it. But anyhow, water, we catch most of our water throughout the year off of the roof, gutters, and a couple of plastic cisterns. Dry months, if we're here during the dry months, we hire a young lady to carry water about a mile from the borehole. As far as transportation, somebody, a former missionary, left me a motorcycle, and I do go around some on that, although limited during the rainy season because the road gets very slippery. The school has a Land Cruiser, and if we have to, we go to the town of Meridian. But otherwise, there are weeks at a time that we never pretty much leave the school.
My guest is Fakazi, who is planting a church here in London. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
And I appreciate the warm welcome here today.
Yeah.
Fakazi, you have already planted a church in London.
Yes.
How did that start? Tell me the story.
Well, I was a member of my church in East London there, and one of my friends, we started talking about being more involved and really making a greater impact with what we have as Adventists. So we started reading the book by Barrel, Revolution in the Church,
Yes.
and understanding the founding principles of our church, how pastors were evangelists, and how they would then train the lay members to then continue leading the church, and they would move on to planting other churches, and how this was so attractive to other congregations to the extent that they used to come to us and say, how is it that the Adventist church is growing so fast? And the principles there, which are in the book of Acts, were coming out that this is the model that Paul used and this is what we used. And based on that understanding, I couldn't sit on that information. I then resolved to go out and try and create, encourage a lay church planting movement in the South England Conference. And just went out and started Shoreway Community Church.
Well, just so that our viewers know this, you were fully employed as a software engineer or designer, or you're in IT?
Yes, I'm in IT and working a full day, as you can appreciate these days, as a solution architect, a consultant in IT. But I see ministry as actually of primary importance.
Wonderful. So you decided with your friend that you were going to plant a church. What happened?
We started in the first year, we started reading this book. We used to meet every Wednesday. But at the end of the year, I went to the Seeds Conference in Andrews University in 2000. And when I came back, I said to my congregation, I wouldn't be continuing, I would go out and plant a church. So I worked with the local church and put together a church planting plan that got approval from the church and the church board. And we went out to start planting the church. But the curious thing is, whenever you set out, it's good having an intellectual assent. It's another thing to actually take a step out and plant the church. So those I started with did not continue. But with my family and a few others, about half a dozen or so of us went ahead and planted the church. And in this, it's a community with very few Adventists and an area of deprivation, a lot of social problems. So we established the church there, and it's still going strong today.
Wonderful. And the good news is you've already started on planting your second group of believers.
Yes, so 2 years ago, I went out into another neighboring area and with a group of about 12 people. And we are now in our beginning of our third year, in planting that church. And so the vision in this particular community is to have a church planting movement, and that church planting movement is to have a church planting movement. And so the vision in this particular community is to have a church planting movement, and that church planting movement is to have a church planting movement. And so the vision in this particular community is to have a church planting movement, and that church planting movement is to have a church planting movement. And so the vision in this particular community is to have a church planting movement, and that church planting movement is to have a church planting movement. And so the vision in this particular community is to have a church planting movement, and that church planting movement is to have a church planting movement. And so the vision in this particular community is to have a church planting movement, and that church planting movement is to have a church planting movement. And so the vision in this particular community is to have a church planting movement, and that church planting movement is to have a church planting movement. And so the vision in this particular community is to have a church planting movement, and that chur is to establish a center of influence on the high street so that the church can be present at least 6 days a week, rubbing shoulders with people in this community and us making a difference in that area.
I just love that. So what are you're starting a center of influence. What are the principles that guide you as you seek to start this group of believers?
Well, as I said, one of the principles I believe in is that the church should be part of the community.
Wonderful.
So one of the principles is that people who belong to this church must be within a specific radius of the church so that they can be the salt.
Right.
And so we can do the mingling and the mixing. And we can put into practice Christ's method. So some of our ministry ideas are all about mixing and mingling. So one of the examples that we're currently doing is that once a month there is a farmers market in the high street in this town, and we have taken a stall in that farmers market. And so every first Sunday of the month we're out there on the stall sharing healthy food and also our church literature. We run health seminars. Again, people come and we share with them the principles of the church in terms of health, and that is the way we continue to build relationships with these individuals.
Okay, so no commuter church where people drive in and then go away. You're actually embedded in the community.
We're trying to be part of that community and be embedded in the community, know the issues that we share in common with those people. While we do surveys, but at least we know some of the issues directly ourselves because we live in the community.
Now, are you funded entirely by the church?
No, obviously, no. In fact, we haven't taken any funding at all from the conference for this program. It's entirely sacrificial. What we are actually doing, one of our founding principles is, as a church, as I was saying, the original church is now returning a significant amount of tithe to the conference. And of course, within that church, we don't have a paid employee.
It's lay-led.
It's lay-led, which means the funds that are generated by this church plant or this new church can be used by the conference to target an unentered area where they can send an evangelistic pastor to go and raise up a church in that community.
Fantastic.
So we are bringing about a greater level of involvement of people who would otherwise be warming benches in a big mother church, but when they come into this smaller community, there can be a greater level of involvement. But we are also facilitating the growth of our aggressive mission by actually saying to conference, here are resources, we don't need a pastor here, you use that money to send an evangelist somewhere else.
Fantastic. Wonderful story, and God bless you and your ministry.
Thank you.
What an exciting thing that's happening right here in London in a territory of so many million people. Don't go away, we'll be right back straight after this break. Welcome back to London. Next up, we travel to Albania, where Rick Kajira is talking with Pastor Julian Castrati.
Thank you, Gary. We're here in Tirana, Albania, and I'm here with Pastor Julian Castrati, who's the Secretary of the Union. Last night we had the opportunity to visit with a small group, and there's some very interesting people. Could you tell me about some of the people who are in that small group?
Here we have a very interesting group of people because it's packed. We probably didn't have the full group last night because it's still a holiday season, but part of that group is a member of the Albanian Parliament. We have national celebrities in that group, and even children, you know, that come regularly to that. So we have a nice, interesting mix. We have students, we have professionals, so it's kind of a very interesting and quite influential group.
So we had a chance to meet two of the people, and one of them was a woman named Julie, or Yuli.
Yes.
Can you tell us a bit about her background? Because she's one of those national celebrities you talked about.
That's right. Yuli, her name is Yulinda, but we call her Yuli. She became famous because she took part in the Big Brother reality show, in the very first one that happened, that was broadcast in Albania, I think 6 or 7 years ago. It's very interesting that from this kind of worldly event that we as Adventists don't really attend, that was the point of her conversion, because what was going to be her future best friend, a very close friend, he was the brother of 2 of our church members. At that time he wasn't baptized. He actually won the Big Brother reality show. She was one of the finalists, but he wore this t-shirt, I heart Jesus. And that impression stayed with her. And she inquired about, and why these people are so public in their faith in God. I must go to their church. So as she got closer through friendship, through the circle through the influences of the family and the 2 sisters, she came to church. That's when I met her. She also took part in a wedding that I performed for our 2 members that got married, a member of parliament and another national celebrity. And she just kept coming to church after that, and she wanted to know more and more about God. And then we naturally started studies, but the best idea that ever came was having a small group at her home. As you saw, she is very lively in her personality, but she's very hospitable, very nice, and one of the most active members of the church in Albania as we speak. And that small group that has been taking place for the past 3.5 years, almost 4 years, has produced so many baptisms, has led so many people to Christ. And we meet, whether the pastor is there or not, and I am there most of the time. It has been considered the most successful small group in Albania, in the history of the church in Albania. It just takes place every Wednesday. Every Wednesday at 7 o'clock we are there. And as you saw, everybody brings some food, we fellowship together, we do some Bible study, we pray for each other. Very simple format, but so much blessing from it, so much positive energy.
Right. And they talked a little bit about how much it feels like being part of a family when they're meeting as a small group. Now, Go ahead, yeah. No,
we have been through some very serious circumstances with some of the members having, serious sicknesses, health issues, so on and so forth. And we all have the confidence to contact each other, even through WhatsApp, Messenger, messages, praying all the time, sometimes fasting for each other, and that has brought this strong family sense, being one strong spiritual family in that small group setting.
Now you mentioned WhatsApp, and last night Yulinda talked about posting on Facebook, and saying Happy Sabbath, and people would ask questions. We also talked with another person last night, Andy, and he found out, from what I understand, about the church a little bit online. Could you share a bit of his story?
Very interesting, fascinating story again, and it's not the first time. I'm also the web pastor for Albania, so I'm in charge of internet ministries, and it's been amazing how God has brought people to our church, not just in Tirana, I think other churches as well in Albania, but mostly in Tirana, through the internet, through our Facebook presence, through our web presence. And Andy in particular is one of the, as we speak, he's the guy I baptized just 1 month ago, no, 1 month and a half ago, and he's one of the most active members. He basically online found out about which church is closest to the Bible. So, he had been attending before, and finding out about other churches, denominations. But as I say in a joking way, he got stuck with the Adventist, and he's glued, I would rather say. And so he came to me, he contacted me online. In the beginning I thought he probably wasn't so serious, but he was very serious, and he just came to church on that Sabbath and he said, I'm convinced on the Sabbath, I'm convinced on the state of the dead, all our distinctive doctrines. And I said, well, there's not much for me to do, but I'm going to give you a job, you know, in the sense that I want you to be an active lay member for Jesus. He's already now one of our Sabbath school superintendents, and he's very active with the youth group. And he has already started a forum online, questions and answers to God and from God. And it's already extremely successful.
That's wonderful. I mean, just sitting there with the group last night, watching them interact, talking with some of them, hearing their stories, it's so exciting to see what's happening here in Albania. You know, this is a country that is still very much a challenge. It's a relatively young church, speaking in terms of the whole history of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. And so, people out there, if you are watching this, please remember to pray for Albania. There are many challenges here, but there are exciting things going on. The people here are reaching out in many different ways, through the internet, through personal contact. They want to build a new church here in the central part of Tirana. Please pray for them. Thank you very much. And now, back to you, Gary.
I hope you enjoyed the first half of Lowell and Neria Jenk's story. Now comes the best part.
We were originally brought in here to initiate a vocational program. The name of this school is Ayera Adventist Vocational Academy, and other than teaching agriculture to the students, nothing was being done. And I don't know how many years it had been since a more formal type of a vocational program was going on, but they wanted to come in and make the part of the vocational in the school's name more of a reality.
The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me to lie down in the green pastures. He leads me beside the still water. There are different things of I'm learning how to walk in Adventist school and how to share the gospel of peace with one another. I study the Bible mostly. I have get to know how to study, and I am acquainted to study the Word of God.
This year, this school where we are sitting together with you has happened to be number 3 in the whole of South Sudan. We praise God for that. You only try to see the bruise here as if we don't have much, but God is blessing the young people.
You know, if I had come in here 20 or 30 years ago, I would not sense the physical challenges as much as I do now. You know, I was within a month of being 60 when we came in here, and now I'm knocking on 65's door.
A big pin went through, fell out of a control arm down there.
Yes.
We should have checked it the other day, I guess, but we didn't. Fortunately, we don't do it all the time, but it isn't the first time I've done something like this.
But, you know, there's no question in my mind what the Lord led us to come here.
I have no regrets because I knew this is where God wanted us to be. And it was not one fleece I put out, but 2, 3, 4. And every time it came out positive. And so I knew this was where God wanted us to be, and I had no regrets of coming here. I have no regrets.
Well, I hope you've enjoyed today's 360-degree view of mission around the world. From the teeming millions of cities such as London through to more rural areas in South Sudan, people are touching people's lives with the light of God's love. And thank you so much for your continuing prayers, your financial support, and your personal involvement in mission. It is making a difference. Before we go, I'd like to send you a small gift, just a token thank you for the support that you give to Mission. The book is called True Believer, and it's written by Adventist Mission's Gina Walleen. I know that you'll enjoy this small free gift. For Adventist Mission, I'm Gary Krause, and I hope that you can join me next time right here on Mission 360.